What's the general weather scenario you're seeing?
It's very, very interesting because you have this small center of high pressure in very low latitude. Normally, this is called the Azores high pressure for a good reason, because normally it's centered around the Azores, so it's more north than what it is, and normally it has a healthy, good round shape, while right now, at the moment that we are, it's very flat and it's very low in latitude. Basically, it's on top of the Canary Islands, and so we can call it the Canary high pressure instead of the Azores high. And what this is going to make is going to make an area of very light winds around the islands at the moment of the start, and there's going to be a phenomenon that the meteorologists call a ridge, which is a place where the isobars make a big turn and the wind gets a little bit confused. It has to go from west in the north of the ridge to west to east almost on the south, and the wind gets a little bit lost when it has to make this sharp turn, and that means that you have very low gradient and very low wind pressure in that area, and this ridge is going to be moving on top of the Canary Islands while we are starting the race. This means either you go north of this ridge to find westerly winds, or you go south of this ridge to find easterly winds, to simplify it. But in the middle of the two bands there will be almost no wind, very variable and light winds, and it will be very painful for the first 24 hours. So that's the general picture and what we will have to deal with after the start of the race. That will be, the first 24 hours will be kind of like, should I go this way? To add complexity to that, we have an archipelago of islands, the Canaries, which have very, very different islands from the one we are now, from Lanzarote, which is the easterlymost, to La Palma, which is the westerlymost. The landscape of the islands is very, very different. You have Tenerife with the Teide mountain, which is 4,000 meters high, and that normally makes a very, very big shadow to leeward of it. It makes a nice acceleration between Tenerife and Gran Canaria, the other big island, but also makes a very, very light area for a very long distance, more than 100 miles. 100 miles, yes, of wind shadow or breaking the pattern of the wind. And when you got the two things together, these high islands, and it's not only Tenerife, for example, the little tiny island of La Palma that we don't even consider because it's the last island, it's 2,000 meters high. That thing is very, very high. So to deal with all these islands and moving target, which is going to be this ridge moving up and down and changing, is going to be very, very tricky for the big boats for the first 24-30 hours, for the small boats for the first 2 days. They're going to be fighting in this difficult situation of light winds plus shadows of the islands. And when you got the full lottery number, which is that the wind aligns properly with La Palma, then Tenerife, and then Gran Canaria, which the three of them align pretty much with northwesterly winds, then the shadow is like a barrier. Going through that thing is very, very hard. You can get stuck there for hours.
So to summarise, at the very start of the race, there's two big considerations: how this high pressure ridge is moving, and the wind shadow that's coming from these islands preventing you from getting to the south, if that's where you want.
That's correct, yeah. And what I foresee is that once we are free of the obstacles of the islands, very likely the fleet will go south to try to find more stable trades than the ones in the direct route.
So it could be a really complex picture for the first few days of this race.
It is, especially the first 24-30 hours for the big boats, and then trying to go south for another 12 hours, 20 hours. Is going to be the first 2 days for the big boat is going to be complicated. The first 3 days for the smaller boats is going to be
Okay.